Northvolt collapses. Europe's battery revolution crumbles overnight. The silence inside the once bustling factory is deafening, echoing the shock that swept across the continent. That was the headline splashed across newspapers from Stockholm to Brussels. The story dominated every front page, capturing the disbelief and anxiety of a continent invested in a greener future. The news hit like a thunderbolt. Northvolt, once Europe's battery champion, declared bankruptcy. For years, Northvolt had symbolized hope, a homegrown answer to Asia's dominance in battery technology. The announcement sent shockwaves through governments, investors, and automakers. Many had pinned their hopes on Northvolt to lead Europe into a cleaner, greener future. Now those dreams seem to unravel in real time. In Berlin, politicians scrambled to reassure workers and car makers. In Paris, worried officials called emergency meetings. Stock prices for electric vehicle companies tumbled, wiping out billions in value within hours. The bankruptcy felt like more than just a business failure. It was a blow to Europe's hope of competing with Asia in the race for green technology. As Asian factories continued to hum with activity, Europe's ambitions seemed to stall. Ordinary people wondered what would happen to jobs and local economies. Factory workers in northern Sweden, where Northvolt's main plant stood, faced sudden uncertainty. Small businesses that depended on the factory braced for tough times ahead. The mood turned from excitement to worry overnight. For many, Northvolt's crash showed just how risky the race to build Europe's battery industry had become. Experts debated what went wrong, and whether anyone could fill the void left behind. The dream of catching up with China suddenly seemed far away. Europe's battery dreams, once so full of promise, now faced their toughest test yet. Northvolt was born in 2016 in Stockholm, Sweden, a city known for its innovation and forward-thinking spirit. The company emerged at a time when the world was searching for sustainable solutions to power the future. Its founders, former Tesla executive Peter Carlson and Paolo Caruti, dreamed big. Drawing on their experience in the electric vehicle industry, they set out to do something no one in Europe had done before. They wanted to build Europe's first homegrown battery giant, a company that could compete with the established Asian and American battery makers and help Europe become more self-reliant. The goal was simple but bold: make high-quality batteries for Europe's electric cars, energy storage, and beyond. Northvolt aimed to power everything from cars and trucks to entire cities, all while keeping the environment in mind. From the start, Northvolt had strong backers. European governments invested millions, seeing the project as a way to boost their economies and secure a greener future. Sweden gave tax breaks and even built new roads to support the factory's construction. The European Investment Bank chipped in, hoping to spark new jobs and reduce carbon emissions. Their support signaled that Northvolt was more than just a business. It was a symbol of Europe's commitment to clean energy. Investors from Volkswagen, BMW, and Goldman Sachs poured in billions more, betting that Northvolt could transform the battery industry and help Europe catch up in the global race for green technology. The excitement grew as Northvolt promised to create thousands of jobs across the continent. It talked about clean energy, recycling old batteries, and building the greenest battery factory in the world, one that would set new standards for sustainability. Politicians praised Northvolt as a model for Europe's future. By 2020, Northvolt was everywhere in the news, hailed as a beacon of hope for a cleaner, more independent Europe. The company looked like a European success story in the making, inspiring others to dream just as big. Why did so many people care about Northvolt? The answer was simple. Europe wanted to break free from Asian battery makers. For years, China, South Korea, and Japan led the world in battery production. European car makers relied on imported batteries for their electric vehicles. This dependence felt risky. If China stopped selling batteries, Europe's electric car industry could stall. Politicians worried about jobs, energy, and security. They wanted to build a supply chain at home, from raw materials to finished batteries. Northvolt became the symbol of this new ambition. Leaders hoped it would show that Europe could compete with the best in the world. The company promised to make batteries that were not only high-tech, but also made with clean energy and European labor. But building a battery industry from scratch is expensive and complicated. Europe faced a challenge that would test its unity and its confidence. With billions in support, Northvolt moved fast. It broke ground on its first gigafactory in Skellefteå, northern Sweden. Soon, the snowy site buzzed with cranes and workers. The company promised to produce batteries by 2022, enough to power hundreds of thousands of electric cars every year. Northvolt's founders talked of more factories in Germany, Norway, and Poland. They signed deals with Volkswagen, BMW, and Volvo to supply batteries for new electric cars. Investors cheered as Northvolt's value soared. The media called Northvolt Europe's battery hope. But behind the headlines, problems began to appear. The rush to grow so quickly brought pressure. Building advanced factories is hard. So is making batteries that compete with the best from China and South Korea. Still, Northvolt's leaders stayed confident. The company kept hiring, raising money, and announcing new projects. For a while, the dream seemed unstoppable. As construction continued, Northvolt ran into trouble. Costs soared above early estimates. Building the gigafactory took longer than expected. Delays meant that contracts with car makers were at risk. The company had to borrow more money to cover the growing bills. Some investors began to worry. Northvolt changed its leadership team several times to try to solve the problems. Reports of management disagreements leaked to the press. Workers complained about long hours and stress. The pressure kept building. Worse still, Northvolt's first batteries rolled off the line months behind schedule. Orders from big customers were delayed. Some partners started looking for other suppliers. Northvolt's dream was slipping away, one missed deadline at a time. As losses mounted, the company's future looked less certain. The financial storm forced Northvolt to make tough choices, including cutting some expansion plans. To save time and money, Northvolt bought key equipment from Chinese suppliers. This included battery-making machines, robotics, and control systems. The decision sparked debate. Some engineers said the Chinese equipment was not always compatible with European standards. Others worried about quality control and security. The controversy grew as news spread. Critics said Northvolt was taking shortcuts. They warned of possible safety risks, or even tech secrets leaking back to Asia. Supporters argued that Chinese equipment was cheaper and often just as good. Operational problems soon followed. Machines sometimes failed in the cold Swedish winter. Some had software bugs or lacked European certification. Repairs were slow, adding to delays and costs. The public started asking tough questions. Was Europe's battery hope really just assembling kits from China? The answer was not clear, and trust began to erode. Europe is known for strict safety and certification rules. All industrial equipment must meet high standards before use. For Northvolt, this meant extra steps and extra costs. Every new machine had to be tested, approved, and sometimes redesigned. Some of the Chinese equipment struggled to pass these tests. Engineers had to adapt wiring, controls, and safety features. This took months longer than planned. Meanwhile, the company paid workers and ran up costs with little to show. Government inspectors visited Northvolt's factories often. They flagged issues and ordered changes. Northvolt tried to keep up, but the process slowed production even more. Customers and investors grew restless. They saw that building a battery plant in Europe was more complicated than anyone had thought. As delays and technical problems piled up, Northvolt's biggest customers began to worry. Car companies had electric vehicle launches planned. They needed batteries on time, or their own business would suffer. Some canceled orders and looked to Asian suppliers instead. News of the cancellations spread fast. Investors lost confidence. Northvolt's share value dropped. Rumors of bankruptcy began to swirl. The company tried to raise more money, but many backers were scared off by the mounting losses. Workers faced layoffs. Local suppliers lost jobs. The excitement of a European battery revolution turned into shock and anger. Northvolt's collapse was not just about one company. It threatened the whole idea that Europe could make its own batteries. Northvolt's failure left a big hole in Europe's plans. The company was once seen as a symbol of hope for a homegrown battery industry. But its collapse sent shockwaves through the continent's ambitions. Other battery startups faced the same challenges: high costs, strict environmental rules, and fierce competition from established Asian giants. Many promising projects were canceled before they could even get off the ground, leaving empty factories and disappointed communities behind. Others were delayed as investors grew wary and pulled back their support, worried about the risks and uncertain returns. The dream of a thriving European battery sector seem to be slipping further away with every setback. Now, European leaders must ask themselves some hard questions. How can they compete in a global market where others have a head start? What will it take to turn vision into reality? Can Europe ever build a battery industry strong enough to match the scale and efficiency of China and South Korea, who already dominate the market with advanced technology and massive production capacity? Or will Europe always depend on imports for its electric car dreams, relying on batteries shipped from thousands of miles away to power its green transition? The answer will shape the continent's future, its jobs, its industries, and its hopes for a cleaner planet. A strong battery industry could mean new opportunities for workers, more secure supply chains, and real progress on climate goals. For now, the vision of European battery independence is in doubt. Empty plants and stalled projects are a stark reminder of how far there is to go. Northvolt's story is a warning, a lesson in how difficult it is to build a new industry from scratch, even with strong political will and investment. Competing with Asia in batteries takes more than big dreams and government money. It demands long-term commitment, innovation, and the ability to adapt quickly to changing technology and markets. It needs patience, technical skill, and the will to face tough realities. Europe must invest in research, train skilled workers, and build partnerships across borders if it wants to succeed. The big question remains: will Europe find a way to catch up and secure its place in the green economy, or will it stay dependent on the East for the most important technology of the green age? The next few years will decide Europe's battery future.